So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome to another installment of the SportsRap podcast, right here on Heat 100 Radio. It is your boy, SportsRap CEO, in the building. And peep it, I'm going to fade this intro out so we can get it cracking. I know y'all can hear me. Like I always say, let me know if y'all can't hear me clearly or not, and I'll do what I need to do on my end to get everything squared away. But nonetheless, I am here, and I think I'm pretty good because I can hear myself in my headphones, so I think we are pretty good. Yo, D, that must be Frank. I'm guessing that's who that is. Good morning on Instagram. I got I am Aisha, Aish on IG. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. And listen, people, we got some stuff to talk about. Got some Eagle stuff to talk about, of course. We know how yesterday played out. And we also going to talk some Sixers today as well. But, got to do what we do. I got to do my due diligence. I got to keep it true to what I do. And some news and some updates. We get into our scores, and then we get into the routine. We get into the meat of the show. Y'all know the routine. But I'm just refreshing everybody's memory since we are in a new year. And Happy New Year to everybody. If you haven't seen my post or anything, I usually post everything on that day. So again, that I'm back in studio. Happy New Year's to everyone that's tuned in here, across the country, over the airwaves, whatever. Happy New Year's to you all. Not New Year's. I said that wrong. I have an issue with people say that too. So let me correct that. Happy New Year to all of you that are tuned in, that have been tuned in, and hopefully you will continue to tune in to the SportsRap podcast right here on Heat 100 Radio, heat100radio.com. So before I get started, though, a new year, new beginnings, new things coming. So make sure you stay tuned. And I'm probably going to tell y'all some stuff throughout the course of the day or the course of the morning. It's just going to pluck your head and you're like, oh, wait, let me make sure I stay tuned to see what's going on with that. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you continue to follow if you are already following. But I want to tell you all about my weekend. All right. My weekend was actually pretty good. And I know y'all saw the stuff. And it goes back to Tuesday of last week. So I wasn't in here Monday. Last Monday. Monday was the first. Happy New Year again, everybody. So Tuesday was the second. And Tuesday I'm at the Sixers game. So I'm enjoying the Sixers game. That game was against who did we play that day? I think we played the Bulls that night. I don't remember. But whatever. It was a major win for the Sixers. A huge win, by a huge margin for the Sixers. But you saw my post. As I'm taking a little break, stretching my legs from the seats and everything like that, standing around it, and I see a gentleman off to my left. Turns out the gentleman is the Denzel impersonator that everyone knows about, Christian King. I am Christian King. So shout outs to him for taking a moment to talk to a brother, acknowledge a brother. He does follow now. I mentioned to him about my podcast, so I'm hoping he's fine. I hope he's tuned in today. So if you're not tuned in, you're going to get tagged in this anyway because I'm going to post it later on and everything. But I definitely wanted to say that I appreciate the time you took for me to take a picture and talk a little bit with me about my podcast and to listen to the kind words that I had to say to you and the words that you reciprocated. So blessings to you, good brother. Wishing you all the best, big and better things. And like I said, hopefully you are tuned in and hopefully we can connect again at some point and I can get you in one of these seats and we can talk to you on the SportsRap podcast. So stay tuned, and work on that, see if we can make that happen. So moving on to the weekend. I get down, finally this year, I get down to a Delaware Blue Coats game. Your defending G League champion, Delaware Blue Coats. They're right in your, I got two people on IG. I'm pretty sure one was Frank. On Facebook. I'm looking at two. So let me know who you are, that second person. I need to acknowledge you properly. So let me know who you are, the second person on Instagram that's tuned in. But I get down there and I am watching Kenneth Lofton Jr. Some of the other guys too. Takevion Smith. I forget his first name, but Baisley. and Ricky Council IV. So I'll talk a little bit about them a little bit later. But I enjoyed my weekend down there. So you can't get down there. If you haven't been down there, right? If you can't get down there, if you haven't been down there yet, and I say this to y'all every time basketball season comes up, you need to get down there. It's a short drive right down 95. The directions are very simple. Like I said, it's a short drive down 95. You may run into some traffic a little bit because of where you have to go, but nonetheless, get down there. It is family friendly. The atmosphere is great. It's a fun time, like I said, and you get to see some good basketball, some future NBA prospects from both sides, from the G League champion Delaware Blue Coats and whoever their opponents might be on the day that you go down there. But remember, I just said a little while ago to stay tuned because we got some things coming up. So make sure you stay tuned. And if I post anything in regards to the Blue Coats, make sure you pay close attention because we're working on some things. All right. I'm talking to some people. Like I said, I'm working on some things. So remember, make sure you are paying attention if I post anything in regards to the Blue Coats. And on that note, shout outs to my guy, Joe Richmond, the best ambassador of basketball in the G League, the entire G League, for your reigning, defending champion Delaware Blue Coats. Shout outs to Joe. Friend of the show, friend of the station, family, good brother, big brother to me. Always greets me with the greatest hospitality when I come down there. Anytime we talk, it's always fun. We got some business in there, but it's always fun. We always make fun, but definitely appreciate everything that he has done for me and with me, and continue. And I hope we continue to grow and continue to do some more stuff together. So again, shout outs to Joe Richmond. And I saw the picture you posted, Joe. So again, shout outs to you and Big Mike showing off the bling. Congratulations to you guys for getting that ring in the G League. So we move on, and we're going to get into some news, some updates real quick. As you know, over the past week, there was a fire at Tyreek Hill's house, but everybody is safe. His family and friends. Family and everybody is safe after that fire. Quarterback Zach Wilson did not play for the Jets yesterday, and that might have ended his tenure with the team. It's very possible. Mr. McLaughlin, quarterback, I believe, for Alabama, and 9 other players are set to enter the transfer portal. Wow. It's crazy. Belichick's decision looms amid coaching changes. CP3, Chris Paul, fractures his hand, and his surgery is due sometime this week. Texas Tech basketball player Pop Isaacs is charged in a civil suit charged with sexual assault on a minor while the team was on a basketball trip in the Bahamas. Brazilian soccer legend Mario Zagallo over the past weekend dies at the age of 92. He was a 5-time World Cup. Well, he was in the World Cup. Let me get my thoughts right. I'm trying to rush and get through this. He appeared in the World Cup 5 times, which was a record, and he won it 4 times. He's the only player to reach the World Cup as a player and a manager. And most recent news, early today, 2 coaches I've gotten wind of that have already been canned, been fired. Mr. A. Smith, I don't know his first name, from the Falcons, and Ron Rivera of the Washington Commanders. 2 coaches so far that have been fired. And I'll definitely, like I always do, keep you up to date on who else gets fired, if they get fired, and what happens and what transpires moving into the playoffs. So with that being said, folks, now we get into our scores and such from yesterday. We had some NCAA women's basketball in the top 25. So here we go. Mississippi State visited number 1 South Carolina. South Carolina takes that game 85-66. Oregon State visits number 2 UCLA. Number 2 UCLA holds on 65-54. Number 3 NC State goes to number 13 Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech edges them out 63-62. Number 5 Colorado travels to Arizona to play Arizona State. They beat them 81-68. Number 7 LSU in Mississippi to face off against Ole Miss. Number 7 holds on 84-73. Washington visits number 8 Stanford. Stanford takes that game 71-59. Oregon visits number 9 USC. USC holds 68-54. Number 12, UConn goes into D.C. to face off against Georgetown. They take that game 83-55. Number 14, Indiana versus number not ranked Nebraska. Number 14, 91, Nebraska 69. Number 15, Utah against Arizona. They get edged out in overtime, 71-70, an upset. Arizona takes that game there. UNC was in South Bend to face off against Notre Dame. Number 16 ranked Notre Dame. Notre Dame falls 61-58. Number 22, Florida State gets by Clemson 78-72. And Boston College goes into Syracuse. Number 25 ranked Syracuse, and they fall 71-64. In men's top 25 NCAA basketball, SMU versus number 15 Memphis. Memphis takes that 62-59. In the NHL yesterday, the Flames fall to the Blackhawks 4-3. By the same score, the Capitals get by the Kings 4-3. The Jets get up on the Coyotes 6-2. And the Red Wings get by the Ducks 3-2. In the NBA yesterday, the Spurs and Cavs take that 117-115. In an overtime game, the Blazers and the Nets, the Blazers take that 134-127. Second overtime game of the day yesterday, the Hawks and the Magic take that game 117-110. The Pelicans beat up on the Kings 133-100. Timberwolves fall to the Mavs 115-108. The Pistons fall again to the Nuggets, 131-114. Grizzlies get by the Suns, 121-115. The Raptors put up 133 points against the Warriors, and they take that game 133-118. That's a surprise there. And in the nightcap yesterday in the NBA, Clippers and Lakers, the Lakers take that 106-103. Those are your scores for most of your stuff and your updates. So now, last set of scores, people. I want to give it to you and get through it real quick and get into what we need to get into today. To talk about what we need to talk about. Okay, y'all know what we need to talk about. So I'm going to get right to this. Football, NFL, Week 18, final week of the regular season. So the regular season has been concluded. Okay, the regular season is concluded. And we are going to move into the playoffs very soon. Over the weekend, this coming weekend, we move into the playoffs. All right, so here we go with yesterday's scores. Cleveland and Cincinnati. Cincinnati takes that game 31-14. All right. Minnesota at Detroit. Detroit takes that 30-20. Chicago at Green Bay. Green Bay at home takes that 17-9. Jacksonville at Tennessee. Jacksonville falls 28-20. Houston at Indianapolis. Colts fall at home 23-19. Denver at Las Vegas. Las Vegas takes that 27-14. Buffalo at Miami. Buffalo beats Miami 21-14 in Miami. The New York Jets at the New England Patriots. A lot of uncertainty there on both sides there. Waiting for the Jets to see what transpires with the Aaron Rodgers situation. With New England, let's see who will be the coach. Will Belichick return? Will there be a change of regime in New England up in Foxborough? Still yet to see, but we'll keep you posted on what happens. Atlanta at New Orleans. New Orleans whoops Atlanta 48-17. Philadelphia at the New York Giants. The New York Giants beat up on the Eagles, embarrass the Eagles, and take that game 27-10. Seattle at Arizona. Seattle edges Arizona 21-20. Kansas City at Los Angeles Chargers. The Chiefs edge out the Chargers 13-12. The Rams and the 49ers in San Francisco. The Rams take that game 21-20. Dallas at Washington. Dallas beats up on the Commanders 38-10. Tampa Bay shuts out Carolina in Carolina 9-0. And in that wasn't the nightcap, but anyway, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, this was the Saturday game, one of the Saturday games. Baltimore falls to Pittsburgh 17-10. And those are all of your scores, your news, and your updates for the weekend coming into today, Monday, January 8th. So, here we are looking forward so to speak, to the playoffs. If you're a football fan, you already are looking to the playoffs. My guy, Mighty Robinson on IG. Thanks for tuning in, good brother. Always appreciate you. Mighty, you guys send me the info for the fight. I don't know. I hope I didn't miss it. I'm sure I didn't miss it because you would have said something to me. But make sure you text me or something later on. Hit me up and let me know what the situation is with that, so I can make sure I am available to attend. All right, definitely. I need to be there. So just make sure you get good with me. If not, I'll shoot you a text and remind you when I get off air to send me all the information and everything that I need for the show there and all that. So here we go. Now, what are we going to talk today? Hey, I'm good, Heidi. Thanks, man. Somebody on Facebook is telling me keep up the good work, and I'm going to guess, because I think I know most of my people. I'm going to guess that that's my guy, Coach Lowell Rich. If that is you, Coach, please just give me another send and say yes. Give me the thumbs up or something on Facebook and let me know that is who just gave me those friends. Okay, Mighty, got you. January 27th. I need to write that down so I don't forget. Got it down there. Somebody just gave me, okay, Coach Lowell Rich, thank you again and always appreciate the support. So again, we have the playoffs about us. And like I said, if you're a football fan, this is the time that you look forward to. It's a brand new season, so to speak. Everybody starts off 0-0. And it's one and done. It's win or go home. And some teams did some things yesterday by handling their own destiny and won some games and maybe had some help and got themselves into the playoff push. Other teams did not fare so well in their efforts to prepare for the playoffs. The seedings as are set now in the AFC. The Ravens have the number 1 seed and are in the first round by 13-4. Moving along, I'm just going to give you these matchups as they go along. We got number 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers will face off against number 2, the Miami Dolphins. Number 6, the Buffalo Bills will go up against the Chiefs at number 3. And the number 5 ranked team in the AFC, the Cleveland Browns, will face off against the Houston Texans. Jay Blake, always a pleasure to have you with me, my brother. Thank you for tuning in always. In the NFC, we have, let me keep adjusting this camera. Like, I can't get it right. I just got a lot of stuff in the background that I'm going to have to edit out later on. But I'll get to that, no worries. In the NFC, okay, the NFC, I'm going to move this again because I can't do this like this. I have to adjust some things and get myself right. I got to get myself right. Here we go. And I'm sorry for doing this on there, y'all, but I got to get myself right. So, but again, like I said, I'll just do what I need to do on the fifth. So, in the NFC, all right, first round bye goes to the 49ers at 12-5. Number 7 versus number 2. The Packers go into Texas and face off against the Cowboys. Number 6 at number 3. The Rams go into Detroit and face off against the Lions, the return of Matt Stafford. And the number 5 seeded Eagles go to Tampa Bay and play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, here's the thing that I've always felt, or most recently, and I just paid a little bit more attention to it, I felt was crazy. I understand it, but I kind of don't get it fully. Where in a way, just looking at the Eagles going against the Bucs. All right, looking at the records, take away the way that they played and everything. Just looking at the records, the Eagles ended up 11-6. The Bucs ended up 9-8. The Bucs edge out and get the number 4 seed because they won the division. So if you haven't noticed, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds are all the 4 division winners. Okay, so they get the home game in the first round, and it just strikes me as weird that a team with an 11-6 record, again, don't forget, and I'm not discrediting how they played, but their record was still 11-6, and they have to go on the road and play the Bucks. Also, the same situation in the 5-6, 5-4 matchup, 4-5 matchup in the AFC. Cleveland Browns also 11-6, but they didn't win the division. They have to go on the road and face the 10-7 Texans. So I kind of get it, but not completely. Like I said, I understand it's because they won the division, so they get the home games, and that's the way. I still feel like the NFL needs to tweak that. And I know you can't have a 4 seed go on the road and play a 5 seed because that's a higher seed. I just feel like, and it probably won't happen because the division winners should get into the playoffs, and that's the other crazy thing. The division winners get into the playoffs. There was last year, I think there was a team that was like 6-7 at one point, at one time, but because they won a division, they got into the playoffs and hosted a home game, which is really freaks me out, really crazy to me. But it's the NFL. That's the way the NFL, and that's the way that they do it. But I just feel like it's strange, like you said, and although we're not discrediting how the Eagles played in the last 5-6 games, whatever, but they did end up with an 11-6 record, and they have to go on the road and face the team. By the way, the Eagles open up as the favorite, a 1.5 point favorite, believe it or not, in this first playoff game. So I'll give you the playoff schedule before I close out tonight. The playoff schedule is set for the first weekend. And like I said, I'll give you that at the end when I give you your Monday schedules for NBA and other stuff like that. So just a quick note before I get into this stuff. The Eagles are the first team in NFL history to start 10-1 and not reach 12 wins in the season. Yeah, they deserve all of that. And I'm going to say this. They deserve all of that. And I'm not shying away from it. I'm not ducking it or anything like that. But that is something that they totally deserved, that WTF button for the way they played this season. You had some hope early in the season because they were winning games. And then it got to a point where the unfortunate the unfortunate simplicity of that offense did something to this team. And it was like a snowball effect. It trickled over to the defense. And then it was just a complete mess going towards the tail end of the season. A complete mess. When you looked at the schedule, even after the Dallas game, like they went through the gauntlet that everybody called, and they came out like with 3 wins in that gauntlet. Okay? However ugly they were still wins. They get to that second Dallas game, and they get beat. No questions about it. They get beat. At that point is when things got funky. I believe that's where it got funky. It might have been before that, but I think at that point is when it really, the stench really got out. Scotty Philly, thanks for tuning in. Good morning, good brother. Yeah, that's when I think it really got funky, right? So, with that being said, there has to be a lot of conversation going on right now as I sit here and talk to you. There definitely will be a lot of conversation whenever their playoff run ends. Okay? Now, getting back to yesterday's game. I watched the game off and on, but it did not hold my... Once I saw how it was going, I realized that things were not going to go pretty. Had an inkling of confidence that they could get into the locker room, have some talks, have some conversation, have some dialogue, and figure it out and get back into the game. Apparently, of course, we know from seeing it yesterday that didn't happen. But for me, believe it or not, going into yesterday's game, I didn't have a great abundance of confidence. I didn't have a great abundance of faith. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm jumping ship. I'm not saying that I'm done or any of that. No, I'm definitely not saying that. I'm still a fan. But I also have a job to do in what I'm doing right now. And I got to bring this stuff to you. And I have to talk about it because it's what I do. And for me, like I said yesterday, going into that game, there was not a lot. My confidence was not sky high. My view of the game, or my attitude going into the game, I described it to one person as indifferent because I didn't know what was going to happen. So I kind of expected the worst, but hoped for the best. And ultimately, I got the worst. Arguably, that was the worst game that they played all season. Even with the San Francisco blowout, even with losing to the Jets, I might even put yesterday's game above the week before losing to the Cardinals. Or at worst, I'll give those last two games a tie. Again, we listened to coaches, Nick Sirianni, we listened to players, and some of them are disgusted. Some of them are trying to stay even keel. But I know deep down inside, just having the knowledge of that realm, player, coach, and being in locker rooms, there's some disgust in that locker room. There is some confusion in that locker room and in those coaches' offices. So now everybody's saying, all the coaches need to go. All of them need to go is what everybody is telling us. April Chanel, thanks for tuning in on IG. Thank you. Appreciate you for tuning in this morning. I don't feel like you have to get rid of everybody. You definitely, and most importantly, have to seriously consider making a change at offensive coordinator. First, okay, that's where, and I'm giving you this is my take on it. All right, that's where I would go first. Good morning, cuz. Is that my cuz Brad? Thank you if that's you for tuning in. Just give me a thumbs up or something, and let me know that is you. If that is you, Brad, just let me know with a quick thumbs up or something, or just a yeah and another comment. So yeah, that's where I'm starting. If I'm in that office, in the front office, I'm starting with the offensive coordinator. Because when you look at the Eagles rosters, the Eagles have, on paper, talent-wise, one of, if not the best roster in the league. On paper. We're going to stay funky. We're going to keep it 100 like we do here. Station that keeps it 100, Heat 100 Radio. This is what we're going to do. Arguably, one of, if not the best roster in football. You have talent on that roster that, in my opinion, was not utilized to its full potential. I don't know what happened after the streak. A.J. Brown was on a tear. He had about 6-7 games maybe where he had 100 yards receiving. Okay, that's Walt. Thank you, Walt. Appreciate you, homie. Cuzzo. Thanks for tuning in, Rennie. Cuzzo. Appreciate you, man, always. So, you have this talent. Again, like I said, A.J. Brown had about 6-7 game stretch. We had over 100 yards, or at least 100 yards receiving. Then all of a sudden it started to fade away. And I was watching the offense, and I'm saying to myself, like, what is going on? Like, there's no creativity, there's no ingenuity, and it's basically like the Eagles basically played a full preseason, in my opinion. They won some games, yeah, but they weren't all pretty. A lot of those games that they won were ugly. They found ways to win. And then all of a sudden, something changed. That went away. And things got funky. And then they got really funky in a fast rate. And it just carried on throughout the remainder of the season. I'm looking at like week 13, 14, 13, like 12, 13 towards the end, or wherever you want to start it. But it got funky towards the end. Super funky at the end. And like I said, in my opinion, I think we need to start with the offensive coordinator. He has shown, Brian Johnson, that he was not up to the task. CC, my friend, I know I haven't seen you in a while. Hope everything is good with you. Happy New Year to you. Haven't seen you in a while. I'm going to have to get back out. I've been chilling, on hanging out for a little bit. But I'm going to have to get back out and maybe we can catch up or something like that. Hang out a little bit maybe. But anyway, he, as the young people or the kids would say, he did not understand the assignment. I was giving him some credit earlier in the season when they were winning those games where I saw some slight adjustments. Weren't major adjustments, but there were slight adjustments that allowed them to come back in some of those games and get those wins. Okay? But then again, like I said, once it got funky, it just continued to fester and get even more funkier. It was no ingenuity, no creativity in the offense. I said this once before a few weeks back. If teams are killing you across the middle because of your weak linebackers, but that's still no excuse. But if teams are killing you across the middle, why can't you adapt that and throw when you have A.J. Brown, who in my opinion is arguably the best receiver in running slants because of his strength and his power? We got a comment from Jay. Jay says, I feel like this year's team doesn't know how to adjust. Yeah. So, and yeah, Jay, I agree with that a little bit. And even with that, what he just said, another point could be fan base looking at it. You don't know who is confused. So you just basically say everybody. And I've seen it, situations on the sideline. And this is bringing in the defense as well now. Players are running off the field like don't know where they're supposed to be. Or am I supposed to be out here with this play or somebody else coming in? Same thing with the offense. But in the NFL, you have to have some ingenuity. You have to have some creativity. And you also have to have some theft, some thievery in your repertoire. And when I say thievery, I mean some copyisms, where you have to copy some things that other teams do, especially if the teams are doing it to you and they're successful. And you know where you want to be or where you should be. You should be copying some of that. It's just my thoughts. Okay? The offense had moments where I think Jalen tried to force some things to some people. I don't know if there was any comfortability or any wiggle room where Jalen was allowed to adjust on the fly on his own. Again, I said to some people also, I felt like I was getting a little bit of the Mike Vick era, where at one point they were trying to make him a more pocket quarterback. That is not who Jalen Hurts is. And that's not to say that he can't have plays where he stays in the pocket. He's most successful when he's allowed to move. Now, don't get me wrong. When I say move, I don't mean he's allowed to run every time or first instinct just take off and run or a lot of scrambling. I'm saying he's better when he's allowed to move around in the pocket or move outside the pocket. Okay. Didn't show a lot of that this year because I think there was a lot of confusion. So we'll see what happens in the playoff game this weekend and then moving forward. So then you have this thing with the defense. You bring in Sean Desai, and I said the same thing about him earlier in some games. And I've always been one that have said the defense always kept us in games. When the offense would have moments in games when they looked lackluster and didn't pick it up, but then they pick it up, the defense helped, and the defense got their position where they can jump back in and pick up. Okay? So, also with that being said, now you have the debacle with the defense, where Matt Patricia is brought down to the sideline and Sean Desai sent up to the booth. Really didn't do anything. That switch didn't do much to the defense because they couldn't stop anybody. Going back to the Cardinals game, Cardinals went up and down the field at will. And don't get me wrong, again, they are pros. I get that, totally get that. When you look at those two rosters, even with the Eagles playing as crappy, Mo, as shitty as they were playing, the talent level on both of those teams was not equal. Okay? All right? The talent level was way, way different. Larry Simmons, thanks for tuning in. Larry Simmons 1608 on IG, thanks for tuning in. So again, I put a heavy burden on Nick Sirianni because you're the head guy. You're the guy. You made these decisions. And obviously they were not good decisions. When Frank Reich was released or let go in Indianapolis, he should have been immediately brought back to this organization in some type of facet at that moment. Whether it was to take over the offensive coordinator or to be an assistant or to be a consultant to the offense. Should have happened, but it didn't. So now there's a very, very strong, I posted this, there's a very strong chance that Sean Desai will not be back next year. There's also now a very strong chance that Brian Johnson will either be demoted if kept or not be here at all next year. Two names that I have at the top of my head floating around free whenever this playoff run ends. If the playoff ends on Monday, the Eagles play on Monday night. So the playoff ends Monday at that game is 8 o'clock. So usually those games end around midnight. At midnight, 12:01, Howie Roseman should be on the phone. And these are the two names that I really, really like that are available, that will be available more than likely. And I think Howie needs to get in and strap them up, and get them in before they get snatched up. Somebody just wrote on Facebook, bring Patricia down to the field, did nothing. Yeah, I just said that I don't know who that was, but let me know who you were, just gave me that comment. But the two names that I'm thinking, Frank Reich, of course, for the offense, because you saw what he did with Jalen Hurts last year. Shane Steichen could possibly be in the mix if you can poach him away from somewhere. But the main two names I'm thinking, Frank Reich, offense. Okay, cool. Okay, cuzzo, I agree with that. Yep. Frank Reich, like I said, Leslie Frazier. Name that you haven't heard in a while, but is a very creative defensive coordinator. We saw what Frank Reich can do with an offense. We saw what Frank Reich can do with this offense. What was the problem? You bring him back. I also think that the Eagles need to seriously either take a look at Kelly Ringo at that second corner and take a real hard look and have a real hard and long conversation on what you want to do with James Bradbury. You have to get somebody that has an aggressive defense on the outside. The defensive line fell off a little bit, okay? But the secondary, you got to fix that. You brought in Kevin Byard, and I'm not blaming Kevin Byard because I saw plays where he looked confused about what he was supposed to do. I also did not like the cushion that our corners played under our coaching staff. It's ridiculous. This is the NFL. It's not high school. It's not Pop Warner football. It's the NFL. You have to have some aggressiveness on the outside as well. So the only coach that I would definitely say is cool, not have to worry about anything, I would say Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach. And although the offensive line had some blunders and some tough trials, still considered arguably one of the best, if not the best, offensive line in the league. So I think Jeff Stoutland is probably the only one, if we had to say somebody was safe, he would be the only one that I would consider to be safe. as far as the coaching staff. Nick Sirianni, I'm on the fence because everything that I've heard from the players, even when A.J. Brown broke his silence, he mentioned and he talked about how the players and they all respect Nick and how they appreciate how he stands up for them. So there you have that. So again, that's why I say, and he's on the fence. He's not completely out of the woods, but he's on the fence. Like a lot of guys are right at that line. He's not that far behind. Like I said, the only one I feel like that I would use the safe word with would be Jeff Stoutland. That's it. Every other coach needs to be seriously evaluated, seriously discussed, and possibly replaced. But if you want to call it a silver lining, another note, a good note, not really good, but on another note, the Eagles are still in the playoffs. Okay? They have to go on the road. Sidney Brown, who had some positives, had some potential, is now done for the season. I mean, I'm glad it happened. Not glad it happened late, but I'm glad it happened in the offseason so he can heal, have his surgery, and hopefully be ready for the opening of training camp. A.J. Brown's injury, don't know the severity of that yet. I haven't seen any posts or any reports yet. I'll check into that later today and give it to you when I get it. Devontae Smith also hurt, which again I think is a very stupid play, and I'm calling it stupid because I think it's stupid. Now my button won't work. See, that's how dumb it was. Devontae Smith, we all know how he got hurt. He got hurt on the screenplay. Let's see. I think Sirianni lost the team, inherited a good team, and we were starting losing members. He was not able to adjust. Yeah, and you know that's like he should have known that going in. Once they made their run to the Super Bowl, he should have known that some things like that would happen. It happens all the time. When teams have success, especially the success that the Eagles had last year, coaches, players will get poached. The players that get offered more money, coaches that get offered elevation in positions, go from coordinators to head coaches or whatever. It happens. And again, Rennie, like you said, Cuzzo, Sirianni did not adjust well. You went safe and you stayed in-house and you hired Brian Johnson. You felt like you had a relationship there since Brian Johnson knew Jalen Hurts from a child. Yeah, but you should have left him at quarterback, coach. He proved to you that he did not understand the assignment. He proved to you that he could not handle being the full-time offensive coordinator. You took a shot with Sean Desai. And it amazed me how Sean Desai couldn't put anything together because you were the defensive coordinator and you were under tutelage in Seattle, who was known for several years a lot for their defense. So you didn't pick anything up along the way before you came here? I guess not, because it didn't show. If you did, it didn't show. If it did, you didn't use it. So again, the playoffs start for the Eagles on Monday, which I'm surprised that they even got a Monday game. I thought they would have played them on Sunday. The AFC has Saturday, but the NFC has Sunday. I felt like there should have been 3 games on Sunday. I don't know why they pushed them to Monday. Give them a short week, and it looks like possibly if they win, they may take that short week and have to go to San Francisco. And we'll see how it plays out and whatever, but that's the speculation early going. But I don't know why they got a Monday night game. I don't understand it. There's no way they should have gotten a Monday night game. No way. They should not be on Monday night football in a playoff game, especially the way that they played. They should be playing on a regular day, Sunday or Saturday. But here it is, the schedules they play on Monday, so they're the only game on Monday. Whoop-de-doo. All I know is they have a day short of a week because they play next Monday, so I'm giving them till Sunday. So I say a day short of a week. An extension, because I said before they had one game, 60 minutes yesterday. They had to right the ship, but they didn't do it. Now they go into the playoffs after a loss like that, and then like you're still favored by 1.5 points to win the game. I get it, I understand, but I'm not all gung-ho and yeah, we got 100.5. Yeah. Not the way they played. The confidence is just not there. And again, I'm not jumping ship. I'm still an Eagles fan. I'm not going to say, no, I'm not an Eagles fan anymore. I'm still an Eagles fan. But confidence level is rocky. You know, it's like whitewater rafting. It's up and down all over the place. Or a roller coaster, whatever. That's how my confidence is with this team right now. So for me, in totally 1,000% honesty, I'm looking to get through this first game, and I'm just going to take it as it goes along. In a small way, I actually hope that this game is the result that none of us really want, so they can begin to make the changes that they need to make before next season. Give them a lot more. Give them a little bit more time. Okay? So we'll see what happens. Again, the Eagles are in the playoffs. Stop what, Mighty? Yeah, I'm talking the truth. I'm speaking it. This is how I feel. You know, I said I'm not losing. You know, they're not losing me as a fan, but my confidence is not real high right now. Heavyweight fight, absolutely, but they got to be able to take the punch and punch back, which they haven't been doing very well in the last couple of weeks. That's the key, right? Heavyweight fight. You got to be able to take a punch and punch back. So they say. Like you say, Mighty, you go in there, you tell your fighter, go in there and punch him in the mouth and see what he does. If the fighter don't do that, then all bets change. Now you got to fight. Because I told you to go in there and punch him in the mouth. You didn't punch him in the mouth. He punched you in the mouth, and now, excuse my language, Mo, shit changed. So the Eagles now are in that same position. That's a great analogy. I'm glad you tuned in and you gave that to me, and I didn't even think about it like that. But that's a great way to put it. One punch. Sometimes it only takes one punch. But, right, defense can't stop anybody. You're absolutely right, Jay. But you have to be able to take that punch and punch back if you want to consider yourself a winner. If you want to consider yourself what I had been saying when they were winning, that they were becoming one of those teams that found ways to win, and then somewhere that got lost in translation, it just got lost completely. Because they couldn't hold on. Didn't carry all the way through to the end of the season. So here we are. Again, you can say cliche. Everybody's 0-0. May the best team win. But you either win or you go home. This is what it is. Deep down inside, I think with the talent that the Eagles have, I think they can beat the Bucs, especially after what the Bucs showed me yesterday. I think they can beat them. But I don't think it's going to be a significant win. I think it will be a close win. And I say that because the same thing as what Jay just chimed in on Instagram and said the defense can't stop anybody. So I'm hoping that Darius Slay can get back in there. That will help a little bit on that secondary. You brought in Kevin Byard, which was a good bring-in, but you threw him into the water and you had him playing confused. Tells you a lot about your defensive coordinators and your defensive scheme. What else can I say? It is what it is. Yada, yada, yada. This is where we are. I'm sure there's a lot of things I could say. I'm sure it is. But again, bottom line is not anywhere near what we expected. Season completely took a turnaround for the worst, or for the bad. I won't say the worst. Took a turnaround for the bad after you said we started out 10-1, and then things just got real funky. So I don't know if they got overconfident, they were looking past teams, or they felt like certain teams they go and we supposed to beat this team. Yes, I'm definitely saying that you should think like that, but when you don't go out and execute that thought process, then there's a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. Definitely is. So, again, we'll see. Let's see. Our Jay Blitz is our blitz pickup is horrible. The Bucks are the third most blitzing team in the NFL. It's going to be a very close game, depending on the injury report too. Yeah, absolutely. So they saw what the Giants did. They're going to blitz crazy. I don't understand. You swung and you missed on Rashad Penny. You tried to give him some burn yesterday, but he couldn't even stay in the game yesterday. Kenneth Gainwell, Mo, again, is too light in the ass to really pick up the blitzes. Boston Scott, another one, too small. You could argue DeAndre Swift, but he's another weapon that now, due to injuries, that you're probably going to have to consider using more in the offensive scheme. So, we're going to see what we've been seeing a lot all season that actually didn't work for us. You're going to see some 2 tight end sets. You're going to see maybe 3 tight ends because they're going to have to do something. And I'm not saying it's going to be an immediate change, but I think Matt Patricia is smart enough to know that I have to have some help there. So again, but like I said, the way that their defense is set up, it's going to be what we've seen that did not work. I'm just calling it like I see it. So we'll see what happens. I'm not truly sold on Baker Mayfield. But if that secondary and those linebackers don't pick up and get their heads out of their asses and play some football, play some NFL football, it'll be a long game. And again, I still think the Eagles will come out victorious. Okay? Again, like I said, and like Jay Blake said on Instagram, it's going to be a close game. And again, 1.5 point favorites. It may be a field goal at the most. Hell, it may even come down to somebody having to win the game on a field goal. It may. It may not. But these are all the scenarios that are offered up for people to think about with the way that the Eagles have played in the last 4 or 5 weeks. All these scenarios are warranted. All these thought processes have been warranted by the play that they have exhibited. Can't call it any other way. Can't call it any other way. You had opportunities to fix it, and the schedule was like there for you. You had 2 games against the Giants, sandwiched around a 3-12 team. You beat the Giants barely, and then you lost to a 3-12 team, and then you turn around and you get beat by the Giants in the season finale. Giants haven't beat you in 5 years. You go up there and lay that egg going into the playoffs. What do you think people are going to say? Especially with that piggybacking the way you played the last 4 or 5 weeks. What do you think people are going to say? What do you think the thought process is? So again, whatever you think it is, just remember, because of the way that they showed you, because of what they showed you, what have you done for me lately? Because of what they showed you, all these thought processes, all these dialogues, and all these conversations that we're having now about the uncertainty, what's going on, there's something there. It's all been warranted. All been warranted. So again, cliche, it is what it is. This should be very interesting offseason. Bird game for life. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm still a bird game. I'm just anxious to see how quick and how fast they get on the offseason. Because whenever this playoff run is done, like hours after that, literally minutes maybe even after that loss, they need to be working on fixing this shit. Excuse my language, Mo, but it's a busy morning, crazy morning. They need to be getting on it to fix it immediately. That being said, it is what it is. NFL playoff schedule. I'm going to give you that now, and I'm going to give it to you again at the end of the show. So we start Saturday, this coming Saturday, with the AFC and the wild card rounds. At 1 p.m. Saturday, you got the Steelers at the Bills. 4:30, you got Browns and Texans, and at 8 p.m., the nightcap Saturday, Dolphins at Chiefs. On Sunday, 2 games. 4:30, Packers at Cowboys. 8 p.m., Rams at Lions. And surprisingly, on Monday, 8 p.m., Eagles at Tampa Bay. There you have it. So, on a better note, and although they have lost 2 in a row, we look at our Sixers. We talk Sixers. Got to talk Sixers. So there's been heavy talk, a lot of talk about Sixers have come up in rumors and trades and all these different types of scenarios. So I got a couple things that I pulled out to bring to you, to talk to you about. I also have an article, and I say it, and it is on the topic of the pros and cons of why the Sixers could stay pat at the trade deadline. So I'll get into that in a little bit. But some of these scenarios and some of these possible alleged trade targets, and this list has been dwindled down for different reasons, and I'll give you most of the reasons why. All right. Possible Sixers trade targets initially, this group that came up was 9 names. I'm going to give you the names, give you all 9 names first, and then I'm going to double back and tell you what the situation is, why they're still on the list, if they're still on the list, if they're not still on the list. You got Zach LaVine, Bojan Bogdanovic, Alex Caruso, Pascal Siakam, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Keldon Johnson, Royce O'Neal, Dorian Finney-Smith, and OG Anunoby. All right. So, we already know about the OG Anunoby trade, so he's off the list. Zach LaVine, a lot of issues there. More importantly, the money that they don't want to waste. All right. Alex Caruso, still a question mark, but has recently been pegged by Chicago as not on the trading block. The Sixers, for some reason, have been turned away from Pascal Siakam because he's a free agent and he could look to do some other things. Bojan Bogdanovic not being moved by the Pistons because I think they would want too much. So what you have left is Keldon Johnson, Royce O'Neal, and Dorian Finney-Smith. Possibles. You know, they could come cheap. And if it plays out, it plays out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You have to take into consideration with what they have now and where Nick Nurse is trying to get his full rotation. Some of these guys would be playing some of the positions that are already currently held by players that are starting to play a little bit better for the Philadelphia 76ers right now. So like the Royce O'Neal and Dorian Finney-Smith, those are the Kelly Oubre minutes, the Marcus Morris Sr. minutes. Not sure if you want to shake that up right now. Okay, they're beginning to find their footing and start to get a little bit right into Nick Nurse's system and into that rotation. All right. So, another 4 that they could look at. Tyus Jones, again, Royce O'Neal, Alex Caruso, and Dorian. Like these 3 names come up in quite a few. All right. I like Tyus Jones. And one of the things that I've been saying is I feel like there's 2 things that I feel like the Sixers need moving forward, and if they're looking to make a deep run into the playoffs and possibly get into the finals and compete for a championship. Right now, I think that we need a backup point guard that can score. And don't get me wrong, all right? There's no disrespect to Pat Beverly. I like what Pat Beverly is doing for this team right now. But Pat Beverly is not the scoring backup point guard. You can still use Pat Bev, but you need another point guard that can also give you a little bit of scoring punch off the bench. Hence the 2 names, Alex Caruso and Tyus Jones. I also feel like we need a backup 5. Because right now you're running Paul Reed as your immediate backup, and that's pretty much it. Then you have to go small ball sometimes, and you put Marcus Morris at the center, where I think he gets a little bit disserviced when he has to play the the small ball 5. Mo Bamba, I don't know what it is with him. I've heard some things through the grapevine, and I'm not going to repeat them because it's a little disrespectful to him. I'm not going to repeat them here on air. But it looks like he's just not getting it. Whatever it is he's supposed to get, looks like he just isn't getting it. I mean, the other night when we were, short-staffed, he had to play a lot more minutes than usual, and he missed about 4 layups. And I'm like, dude, you like 7'2". Right at the rim, no less. And they were like misses that bounced around the rim. If that's the case at that height, dunk the damn ball. Those should be sure buckets for you. And then we talk Paul Reed. Paul Reed, nicknamed B-Ball Paul. Which, ironically, in my opinion, I think is the perfect nickname for him. Because in this new age of what they like to say, positionless basketball, I think Paul Reed is perfectly in that grouping. You can't even say that he's a tweener, in my opinion, because where do you put him between? Okay, when you look at him, and let's go where he's playing now. He's a backup 5, but he's not a 5. He's not a 4. He's not big enough. He doesn't have enough, in my opinion, to be a 4. And he damn sure does not shoot well enough, to be a stretch 3. He doesn't shoot well enough to be a stretch 4, for that matter, either. And he's just not defensive-minded enough, in my opinion, right now, to play the 5. So where do you play him? How do you play him? Like I said, right now, due to the roster makeup and whatever's going on with Mo Bamba, he is the incumbent backup center. So those are the two things that I feel like the Sixers need. A backup center and a backup point guard that can score. And like I said, again, no disrespect to Pat Bev, because I like what Pat Bev does. It's just the fact that you bring in another scoring point guard, then you can play him and that particular guard and Pat Bev at the same time. Then you can rotate it. You can play that backup scoring guard with Maxey. You can play Pat Bev with Maxey. You can play Maxey with you can mix it up. All right? And then you don't kind of lose some scoring in your guard position. Because with DeAnthony Melton being hurt, Kelly Oubre, more so your 3, but can play a little bit of 2. Aside from that, there's not much scoring off the bench at the guard position. I mean, of course, you do have Jaden Springer and KJ Martin, but they're not guys that you're going to say go out there at any given time. You're going to run a play for them to get you a bucket. Right? Of course I'm right. So there's also the option that they could stay pat. And some other moves, they could stay pat because, like you said, they have aspirations, but they're set up right now so great for the offseason that it's almost like ridiculous when you think about it. But some of the other moves, and this is another thing I saw a list that because where they are fixed, because of how they are set up for this coming off season, 4 names that the Sixers should have on their list. All right, so the 4th one will probably not happen. I just spoke to you about that, the Pascal Siakam. It could happen in the offseason if he actually becomes a free agent, maybe not. But more importantly, they say Paul George, Donovan Mitchell, and Klay Thompson. I like Paul George. Definitely like the Klay Thompson piece. And again, these are guys that you could bring in the offseason as free agents because you have the money. The first priority, you have to sign Maxey. And then you have to figure out these guys that you got that are beginning to find their footing for you that you got in this trade from the Clippers that are on expiring contracts. You have to kind of figure, can we keep some of these guys? You have to talk about Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre is playing good for you. He's playing very well for you right now. So you also have to keep that on the back burner and think, maybe we want to bring Kelly back. So it's a lot that's going to go on. So I think off seasons in Philly sports are going to be busy and crazy when you talk about the positivity and what the Sixers could do, and you talk about what diligence needs to be done for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think it's going to be a busy offseason for at least 2 sports teams. I mean, the Phillies are working on some stuff now, so we'll deal with them when they get there. But right now, currently, looking at off seasons, I'm sure it's going to be a lot of buzz around the Sixers and around the Philadelphia Eagles. So some other moves. And I saw this article. This is 5 potential moves. And again, some of these names are in here, but some of these trades I don't like what is being given up for what is being given to us. So as far as they listed them in categories, and these 5 categories, well, the first category was star hunting. It was OG Anunoby, which is a done deal because he was traded to the Knicks. And what the proposed trade for this was OG Anunoby from the Raptors. The Raptors would end up getting Marcus Morris Sr., Jaden Springer, KJ Martin, a 26 unprotected first round, and a 28 top 10 protected. I think that's too much for OG Anunoby. But again, like we see, the trade has already been made. He's been traded to the Knicks. Second one is an expensive role player. I don't think they need to go out and get an expensive role. I don't think they need to go in and overpay anybody, for that matter. That was with the Hornets with Gordon Hayward. And the Hornets would get Morris, Korkmaz, House, Springer, 24-second and 29-second. Way too expensive in my book. A sharpshooter, Luke Kennard. The Grizzlies will in return get Korkmaz, House, Martin, Bamba, a 24-second and a 29-second. Too much for Luke Kennard. Too much for Luke Kennard. Guard depth. DeLon Wright, which is another thing that I didn't mention it earlier, but I think could work, to the Wizards. And the Wizards would get Korkmaz and KJ Martin in a 24-second. If you send them to Korkmaz in the 24-second, they might take that, and you can keep KJ Martin. Wizards aren't doing anything. Wizards will be in the draft. They'll be high picks in the draft. An underrated scorer, Bojan Bogdanovic, who the Pistons say now is off limits. But in this deal, the Pistons would have gotten Marcus Morris Sr., Jaden Springer, KJ Martin, 24-second, and a 27 and 29-second. So, the other thing that the Sixers, that we said that the Sixers and the Zach LaVine thing, the Sixers were putting together a spectacular season offensively. Okay. Number 2, OG Anunoby would have been a better fit, but he's since been traded. And the third reason is the cost to acquire Zach LaVine far outweighs the benefits. So, again, last thing here, there's a chance that the Sixers could stand pat. So here are some pros for the Sixers staying pat at this trade deadline. Right now, they sit at 23-10. They've been playing well under Nick Nurse. Embiid and Maxey have formed one of the better two-man combinations in the league. Their offensive rating is 127.36 and a net rating of 15.28. They play very well off each other. Cleaning up the glass, they say. The starting lineup with Maxey, Melton, Batum, Harrison, and Embiid is scoring 137.3 points per 100 possessions and has a net rating of 33.3. That, they say, is that lineup's worth continuing to develop. So I think you can see some things there. The cons of staying pat, too late. Anunoby went to the Knicks, and he should be a nice fit with the Knicks, as the Knicks blew us out the other night. Also, Sixers deciding to stand pat will be a gamble and ratchet up pressure on Embiid and Maxey. Embiid especially would have to stay healthy and be on the floor when the games matter the most for Philadelphia. So I think for the most part, with the Sixers, we've had a healthy Embiid. I think we are still, or as a coaching staff, Nick Nurse is still, but I think it's starting to come together where he's beginning to get his rotation, trying to figure out the rotation and how these guys are going to play and how he's going to play these guys. So those are some pros, and some cons for staying pat at the trade deadline, but we don't know. I don't think a move will be made unless it would definitely make this team better. On another note for the Sixers, you got 3 potential All-Stars, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, and Maxey. 2 should arguably make it without question. The third one, the question mark, is going to be Tobias Harris. But I don't see why Maxey shouldn't make an All-Star game, the All-Star game this year. Of course, we know Joel Embiid with that streak of 16 straight 30-point games. No-brainer. He'll definitely should be in the game, in the All-Star game. He should bring Maxey, but hopefully they'll get Tobias in there too. But you got to go and vote. Go to NBA.com or go to Sixers.com, and you can find out how to vote for those three guys and for all your other favorite players. But, on another note, the Sixers are playing well. Like I said, they lost 2 games. They lost to the Jazz, shorthanded, and they lost to the Knicks, a little shorthanded. But it's a long season still for the Sixers. And the way that he's been playing like an all-star, absolutely. I hope you're talking about Tobias J. It's fun to watch because you see the differences between last year, and you see the differences between last year and this year, rather. You see the difference in the body language of the players. The players are having more fun. They're more into what's going on, and I think there's more definitiveness in what they're supposed to do. And I also think that the head coach Nick Nurse, and the coaching staff takes the input of the players during games and in practices and incorporates that into their pregame planning for the next games moving forward. I also saw a quote that after these last 2 losses and the way that the Sixers lost, that the guys felt some type of way, and Nick Nurse was quoted as saying that there's going to be a very physical practice, and the next practice is going to be very physical. And I believe that. So I think Joel's going to be anxious to get back on the floor. He's had some rest, and the Sixers don't play again until Wednesday. So he should be able to go Wednesday. I'm not sure who they play Wednesday, but he should be able to go Wednesday. Hopefully we'll get DeAnthony Melton back. Rocco, I don't know what's going on with Rocco, how he hasn't been plugged in yet. Shown some signs, and people will probably listen to me and say, oh, really, Rocco? Understanding basketball and the way that the Sixers are playing right now, he has some attributes that can be beneficial to this team currently, is all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying about Robert Covington. So we'll see what happens. And the Sixers, man, it's what we got to look forward to. We get through the playoff thing with the Eagles, wherever it goes, wherever it ends, and then we jump right on the Sixers bandwagon. And then shortly after that, we'll be on the Phillies bandwagon. And in between there, in the meantime and in between time, we can take a look at the Flyers, because the Flyers are not as bad as people thought they were going to be. It's a big step up from last year, where they were last year. Last year it was horrible, but this year they've done some things that have caught some people's attention. So shout out to the Philadelphia Flyers for that as well. And I know you guys see my shirt. Just a little tidbit in here. You see my shirt. It's not sports related, but it is something that's kind of dear to my heart. And what we do here at Heat 100 Radio. As you saw, we had our toy drive, our annual toy drive this past Christmas, and we are always all about the youth. So we got some things that myself, the boss lady, Simply Monica, and the Mason Foundation are going to be talking about putting together, where we're going to attempt to bring some youth in. We're going to do a little mentor, some training, and some coaching up. Maybe even get the youth, give them a voice for everything that's going on with them in our neighborhoods and in our city today. Teach them up and give them a voice to be able to talk on a podcast on their own. But it's not going to be just them coming and sitting in here with one of us. We're going to coach them up and train them up so they can eventually get to their own, if possible. But again, shirt credit goes out to at Making It Yours on Instagram. You can check us out and see what we have. We definitely have this design. We have some sports designs as well. We have other designs, inspirational designs, and they're custom. So it's custom t-shirts and tumblers. All right. The tumblers, you know what I'm talking about, the tumblers, the little mugs and coffee things that people walk around with, sports bottles, not sports, but tumblers. All right. Tumblers that control hot and cold drinks. Personalized, so you can customize them by sending us a picture, and we can get that picture on a t-shirt or on a tumbler, or you can go through what we have and see, oh, I like that, and you may want something that we've already done. But this is one shirt, this is one design that we do have, and it's like an older man, not very much older, looks like he might be in his about 20s, maybe early 30s, and he's sitting there having a moment with a young man. And they're dressed like twins, so I'm guessing that this is his son, and he's taking that moment with his son. And I felt like this was a great picture because in our community, a lot of our young men don't have a father or a father figure or a man that can take this type of moment with them all too often. So I thought it was pressing. Again, that's shirt credit goes to at Making It Yours. So that's at MAKING_IT_YOURS_ to get yours. Like I said, you got some Philly sports stuff on there. We can do other sports teams if you're a fan of other teams. But like I said, you can customize it. You can send us a picture of what you want and we can get it done. Or you can see what we've already done and you can get a copy of that as well. So check them out at Making It Yours on IG and TikTok and all of that other good jazz. On another note, I posted an article a couple weeks ago, and it was during the time that I was out for the holidays, and we were all off for the holidays and whatnot. And you can scroll back through the page and find the picture. And the story I'm talking about is in regards to an Opelousas basketball coach was fired. Her name was Brianna Connor, but she was recently hired by another school, another county. But she was fired allegedly because of the way she dressed. And people in the first county in Opelousas County were heard or overheard and being quoted as saying, this is not a fashion show, this is a basketball game. But nonetheless, even with them being disturbed for whatever reason about her attire, she boasted an 18-4 record. So where did the firing come in at? Where did the idea, the thought process of firing her come in? I think that was a disgrace. You got somebody that's 18-4. And your main concern is having some type of difficulty or some type of gripe about how she dressed. If you look at the pictures, it wasn't like she was dressed derogatively. There was no suggestive clothing that she wore. She was just dressed. A lot of coaches, female coaches now, get dressed when they have to, as far as the college and high school level, they get dressed when they have to wear, when they have to coach. And again, I still don't get what her attire had to do with her coaching skills. I mean, she had to have some valuable coaching skills, some good coaching skills. She was 18-4, which, to my opinion, is a great record. I don't know how many games they played. That's 18-4. That's 22 games. I don't know how many games the season was, but 22 games, you win 18 of them, says a lot. In my opinion, it has no bearing on what I wear if I'm coaching and I'm winning games. The object of coaching is to win games. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? That's what the object is. The object is to correctly and to win games, right? That's what the object of the game is, to win. So again, 18-4, where does her attire come into play? I don't understand it. I don't know that county. It is what it is. But again, I had to bring it to you because I had to touch on it. I had to talk about it because I felt like it was a travesty. Like I said, and it shows because somebody respects what she does as far as coaching, because she immediately got hired by Scotlandville. Right after she got fired, she got immediately hired. So apparently she was doing something right as far as coaching. And again, like I said, I still don't know where her attire came into play, as she was 18-4. And again, if you go and you look her up, Google her, look at the picture I posted, nothing derogatory, nothing suggestive in that, in her photos and her attire, nothing extra form fitting in her attire. So I didn't get it, didn't understand it. But as me being me, I felt it was a little interesting and I had to bring it to you all today. So folks, I thank everyone that tuned in today. I hope I made you feel slightly better about the Eagles situation, since they're going into the playoffs and all their records are 0-0. Pun very much intended there. Joking joke there, just playing around with some words. But nonetheless, I hope I have eased your pain from yesterday. I hope I've given you a positive way to think about the playoffs approaching. I also hope I've given you some thought process and some some wiggle room and some gray area to hope that things will be tackled in the off season and things will be corrected moving forward and going into next season. With that being said, folks, I wrap up today with this episode of SportsRap Podcast. Again, I thank everybody that tuned in. You know where to find me each and every Monday, except for holidays, right here, heat100radio.com. You can find us on TuneIn. You can get me on Facebook. SportsRap Podcast LLC is the group page there. You can also catch me on Instagram and Threads at SportsRap CEO, TikTok at SportsRap CEO. You can check the webpage, sportsrapradio.com. Please and always, please, I tell you this every week, get over to the YouTube channel, SportsRap TV. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the videos that are there. Like the videos, hit that thumbs up, and then hit that bell so you'll be alerted when new content is up. You can also catch audio. This audio for today will go up later this week. There's also past audio. You can catch me on iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Anchor, and most of your podcast outlets. Reese 383, thanks for tuning in, homie. Closing out right now. Here are your schedules for Monday. Let's see. NBA schedules for today. We got Celtics, Pacers, Bulls, Hornets, Thunder, Wizards, Rockets, Heat, Jazz, Bucks, Suns, and Clippers. In the NHL, we got Penguins, Flyers, Canucks, Rangers, Stars, Wild, and Bruins, Avalanche. Moving into the weekend, once again, NFL playoffs, wild card round, AFC on Saturday, 1 p.m. Steelers, Bills, 4:30 Browns, Texans, 8 p.m. Saturday, Dolphins, Chiefs. Moving into Sunday, 4:30 Packers, Cowboys, 8 p.m. Rams, Lions, and next Monday, Eagles, Bucks, 8 p.m. ESPN, ABC. Folks, thanks you all for tuning in. Enjoy your Monday. Got a storm brewing, mostly rain for us in the inner city coming in tomorrow afternoon, evening. So get out and enjoy your day today, Monday. As always, be great on purpose. I will see you all week on social media and right back here on Monday. Well, not Monday because Monday is the holiday MLK Day, but I will have something for you on Monday from the confines of my own home. Thank you all. Stay tuned, like I said, and please pay attention to the things that I post because there are some things coming up that you might want to get in on and might want to be part of. Thank you all for tuning in. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.